What's up, Goalie Nation? I've got a Junior Vaughn here. We're gonna give a floating tee to. So this is a tutorial on how to put a floating tee in your goalie glove. Already broke this thing in. Absolutely butter. Let's do it. So this goaltender here wants a floating tee, red, white, and blue. Junior glove, we love giving floating tees to junior goalies because it just makes it so much easier. The puck will just stick in the pocket. Completely legal, so let's do it. First step is to cut out the old pocket lacing. Whatever it may be, we're gonna get it out of there. If you don't wanna lace the middle, that's fine. You don't have to lace the middle. The sides make it a lot softer as is. Just be careful not to cut the glove. You're just cutting the pocket lacing out of the glove. You're not cutting the rest of the glove up, okay? Then you have to pull out all these laces. All right, once you get those laces out of your glove, I'm gonna clean up just a bit here. Then we are going to take out the remaining laces. There's a knot typically right underneath. You can barely see it sticking its head out there. I'm gonna get my needle nose in here and pull that knot out. Some come out easy, some take a lot more work. On this thumb side here, there's the knot. Take that out. So, no more pocket lacing in this glove. It's probably gonna close even better without the lacing, tying it down. Just wonderful closure. Open this glove up. Now you see back here, this is where the tee is tied onto the glove. So, depending upon how floated you want this tee, we're gonna unlace this. It should not be that easy to unlace. Or untie, my bad. This here we can tie together. We put a square knot in it. Real nice and tight square knot. And I'm gonna try this here. You want this to be as tight as possible. Just cinch that tight. Now you could tie a knot in each one of these ends too. I am just simply going to twist this up and then I'm gonna burn this all together. Be right back. All right, this is not coming undone. No pun intended there. There, we got it. Now we have a floating tee. This is just hanging out up here. So, some companies will actually take this floating tee here and will cut it, add binding to it. I debated doing that to this glove, but we're gonna see how it looks when we get back here to see if we want this to be extra floated to here or if we want it, because sometimes when you shorten it up, that tee gets really small, or there's a lot of pocket lace and it's just soft and spongy. I kinda want this to be structured. So most floating tees that we do here, they don't look like this, just two tees coming together. Usually we just leave the tee the way it is and float it right up above the cuff. Right now you could take a lace and tie it up here to see how much you wanted the tee to float. That's if you're a beginner. If you've done this before or you kind of know how much you want to float the tee, then you can leave it hang here and you'll get to it. So this goalie wants red, white, and blue. So we're gonna start off. The middle here is actually pretty important. I have my Howie's white lace. We'll lace up the center. If you took the glove apart instead of cutting it, you would know exactly how these gloves go together. Vaughn gloves are the exact same every time for the middle stitching. Once I can get this through, I'm gonna take a shortcut actually for this, and I'm gonna put my Permalock needles on. just because otherwise it takes twice as long just to get this done. So one side needle goes through. I'm gonna go inside out. This part here we'll have a separate video for at some point to explain a little bit more. We'll just go over it really fast right now. Laces are straight, that's what we want. And then for a Vaughn glove, technically you would go from the bottom up, but I actually like the looks of it and the functionality better if I go top down. So I'm gonna take the right side from my viewing point and I'm gonna go top down over here. Now with some of these gloves, you can see there's gonna be an issue already. There's plastic like trying to cut. I gotta handle this real quick. I don't know if you guys see, but this plastic is like trying to cut the Gen Pro and the lace, and I've seen this a lot on Brian's gear, Vaughn gear. These holes are just not punched super well. So take a quick time out. We strive for quality at the Goalie Glove Guy. I'm gonna repunch this hole and make sure that nothing is gonna get in the way of this goalie getting the best quality gear possible. We're gonna pull this up so we can see. All right, so this lace, we gotta keep every lace straight. Every lace has to stay straight. It's gonna go over and under and through the hole. I'm gonna continue this pattern and then show you guys what happens when the middle is all complete. All right, so I got the middle done. Again, it's the same pattern over and over and over again once you get it started. And you tie a square knot off, burn the ends. We will go over this middle in another video. This is the Vaughn middle. Every company has their own. Now, let's do the red. You need 120 inch. I'm using wax laces. You can use whatever you want, okay? Now you have a choice. The lace can go through this hole here, since this is the bigger hole and the hole that I think the other lace came out of, that would work. I usually go through this hole here. I don't actually know why this hole is as big as it is. That's a little interesting. I haven't seen that too much, but I'll mess with this after. I'm gonna go through this hole here. Now you can do this at home with just like a pliers and trying to get your lace through. But again, I got a needle here, so I might as well use it. As easy as it is, I'm just going to pull this lace through here. Now, you can push it through this way, or if you actually want to, I'll show you guys this as well. You can get the lace to go through from the underneath, okay? As long as you get it, your laces to go up through this hole. If I was at home, I would just use this, to be honest. But knowing, well, yeah, it's not coming through there. All right, I'm gonna show you guys with this one, because this is just where the lace came out of. If you take the laces out, remember, you can always just follow the same pattern that the laces were in the glove. So as I pull this through here, I'm just gonna tie a knot. I went from underneath, so I don't have to worry about anything. Pull this tight, I just pulled it really tight, and then pull this knot up against here. It's gonna make that hole look nice and small, so that'll look good. There we have it. I got our lace in here, tuck the knot under the binding. We get started. So straight lace, we're gonna go through the holes that are down here first. In this case, there's only one hole, okay? Now, if I wanted this glove to look a little bit better, I might say, all right, I'm gonna punch some new holes, but I've already had to punch some holes in this glove, so we're gonna leave it for the sake of this video. I'm gonna show you guys how the factory would lace this guy up. So we got one hole here, We're gonna go through, and then we gotta go through the first hole in the T-spine, which is this one here lined up. Now you already have your lace through the middle, so it's gonna be tough to get these in some of these holes without a needle. That's why I have my needle hooked up. You guys can do it. I did it for years with just a pliers before I discovered the magic of these needles. So we've got this through both holes, inside out. We're always going inside out. Now we're gonna lace back through, okay? We'll go through both of these loops, and I'm also gonna go underneath the first binding lace to start off where we're at. So I'm gonna pull back through, and then we're going to fix the lace straight, and we're gonna work on the tension. This is very important for lacing your glove. If you pull this too tight, it'll destroy the T, okay? So you wanna loosen this up, not super loose, but it doesn't have to be super tight either. You just kind of learn this over time. You can lace this on your lap with your knee inside so you know how tight or loose it should be. But that's how we're gonna have this glove here. Now, the lace that I just pulled through, it has 1, 2, 3 different exposure sites. We're gonna skip the first one, go through the second one. So the first one would be right here. That's really close. We're gonna skip that one. We're gonna go through the second opening that we just created, okay? Pull this through. Make sure the lace is straight. You can have this lace curved like this. That's not a big deal. You can have it straight. It doesn't matter. It's all personal preference for how you want your glove laced. Then we're gonna go through the third gap that we created, okay, which is this one here. This one, we are going to keep the lace straight, but we're gonna loop the lace around so that we get that looping effect. And then we come up next hole in the T-spine. We're gonna do this pattern. We're gonna work up and down the glove until we get to the back. So we have second hole in the T, moving right along. We pull this up. Now you don't want this super tight. You just gotta work on those tensions, about a pinky inside these loops. So I'm gonna come down the middle here. You saw I skipped the first loop that we created, which is this one, and we went through the second loop that we created. And then we're gonna go through the third loop that we just created, which is right here. And this one here, we're just making sure we twist the lace, it's straight, it's following the contour of how we want this laced. We go underneath the next binding lace, pull this through, and straighten out the lace. Always straighten the lace, you get the best looking pocket. So, last time before I go through this and speed round it, this is the loop we just created. We skip that one. We go through number 2. Straighten the lace. We go through number 3. Straighten the lace, and we come up the top of the T-spine. Straighten the lace. Wow, this is tight. Sometimes you run into little pickles like this. It's fine. Expect this to take you a few hours. It still takes me an hour to get these laced up really well. You could speed through them, but they're not as good when you do that. We want high quality work every time. All right, so quick tension check. Got to do a lot of these tension checks. Glove seems to be pretty good. Our T is where we're gonna want it back here. So we're good. Coming down, last time, coming down, we are going to skip the first loop. We're gonna go through the second loop, all right? So if you guys can see this a little bit closer, I'm coming through the second loop, straightening the lace out. You could leave it like this. You could straighten it out all the way. It does not matter. But whatever you do, keep it consistent. I change it up depending upon the glove all the time. This one here, we create a nice loop out of it. Beautiful loop. Pinky could fit in there, just nice and snug. And we go underneath the binding. Straighten the lace. Perfect. I'm gonna finish off this side. We got our nice pocket. You can see how good it's gonna look when it's floated, so we are happy with that. Now we're gonna work on this blue. So we have our blue lace, 120 waxed again. We're gonna go through this hole that blue is coming through. This time I'm gonna go through from the outside in so you guys can see what that looks like. We're gonna pull this lace right through a little ways, and then I'm gonna tie a knot. Nice snug knot. Tighten it up. And we're gonna pull it back up against the binding. So you can cut this off and burn it, it's not a big deal. Be careful not to burn the glove. I don't mind, there's lots of room under here, so I'm just gonna shove it in the back with the T, and we're gonna call it good. Looks great coming out of there. Now on this side with this back piece, it gets a little tough, but I'm actually going to pull this, wrap it right around, and then I'm gonna go through these loops. So again, here on this side, it looks like we just have 1, 2 loops. Sometimes your glove's gonna be 1, 2, 3, okay? And it doesn't really change the way your glove is laced. You're just gonna go through all those laces when you come back the first time. The first time is the only one that's unique. So with the wax molded tip, I'm gonna come inside out through this hole, and then we are going to go through the T, inside out. We got 2 straight laces here. Then I am going to come straight through all these laces, and I'm also gonna go through that first perimeter lace. So grab my pliers, grab this and pull it through. Nice and straight, money. All right, now we are going to come through hole number 2 and 3. So we just created some gaps. You might have to choose which ones to come through here, but when you start, that's how the glove's gonna be. This is nice and simple. I have 1 gap, skip, 2 gap, we go in, inside out. Straight lace. Second gap is done. Third gap is up here. Keep it nice and straight. Then we go through the next hole in the T. You might need a pliers to pull these through. Straight lace, nice and snug. You can do a tension check whenever you want. Make sure you're not tying down the T at all, but it's up to you. Come back down the second one. We're skipping that first loop we just created. The first loop is really small, so it's almost like you don't see it. Then we go through 3. Keep the lace contoured all the way through. And the binding lace that's next is right here. Now again, these are tucked under, so they're tough. You just have to use a pliers or a needle. In this case here on this side, I'm showing you guys the at-home style. So we got that straight. keep the lace straight, I'm gonna go through the second gap on my way back up. And the third gap on my way back up. Now I notice here that my T is starting to flatten out. I don't love that. So I am going to do a double check after I get through this here. This one. I might, just because these are so crazy. Now I'll show you at home, you can take a really fine needle nose. You can go through here, kind of bore out that hole a little bit. And then when you come back around, this will go right through there. That's not a big deal at all. So our T is getting a little flat back here, so I'm gonna make sure I double check where I want it, nice and round, and then continue. I'm gonna finish this off and meet you in the back. All right, we are there. It's tough to see this, so bear with me. It's gonna be difficult. This is a unique glove, okay? We got the red and the blue to show you guys the two different laces. That's nice. This one here, I wasn't able to go under the last perimeter binding. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna go over under the same one that the red is under, the next one. Sometimes that happens, just a unique situation here. You gotta improvise and take some artistic liberties. Got this, pulling through. All right, so now both of these laces, whoops, you guys couldn't see that. Both of these laces are under the exact same perimeter lace. That's actually really good. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick check on this pocket because I want this thing to be floated, but not necessarily like right about there. I don't want it to be like crazy floated, okay? So quick pocket check we had to do there. Now I am going to think this through quick. Sometimes if they're not under the same lace, I want to wrap around itself at least one time and then come back through the perimeter lacing, but we don't have to do that in this case. So we are going to wrap around, which we just did. Blue stays on this side, red stays on this side, okay? And I'm gonna take the red through the first loop. Now we're gonna go through the first loop, just because you can do this however you want, but I like to wrap this around itself a lot to make sure that we have the most stable pocket in the back possible. So that's this one here for the blue, and now we have this tied up. We're gonna wrap these around again. So cross them, under, over, red stays on this side, blue stays on this side, and we're gonna go through inside out the second of the loops we created. Red's good, blue is good. Now you kind of get that pattern. You make it as tight as you want it, and then we go on for one more crisscross, maybe two actually. So red stays on its side, go through the third slot. That one there, straighten out the lace, gotta keep it looking fresh. We've gone so far now, we can't mess it up. Then you can tie this as tight as you want, or pull it rather, and then you can come up right now, or you can wrap around one more time. I think I'm gonna wrap around one more time, and if that doesn't look good, we might, yeah, that'll look fine. But we might take it apart and redo it. That's perfectly fine. So usually the laces on the top here are for where, like I said, this attaches to the T. These laces are gonna come up right here, and that's fine. These other holes are just gonna be irrelevant for you unless you cut it off and rebind it like I was talking about. And that's a lot of extra work and really like modifying the glove, voiding warranty and all these other things. Probably not the greatest option anyway. So we're gonna leave it like this. Pull these as tight as we want. Now you can see we don't have gaps for the puck, but we have a floating T. I'm gonna tie a square knot up here, cut and burn the ends, and we're gonna call it good. Look at that, beautiful glove. Put it back together now. I got all these straps undone here. All right, so for this glove, we have a at-home floating T-mod here, red, white, and blue. And this piece can just hang out or it can tuck underneath. That's not a big deal, looks just as good. Pucks are still gonna stick right in there. Nice deep pocket. Still has insane closure. After a little bit more break-in, this is even gonna get better before we send it off. Beautiful mitt here, ready to be headed out. If you guys want break-in with lacing or any other service, let us know. Hop online to goaliegloveguy.com, create your online order. Padding added to a glove, practice palm, no problems. We can do pretty much anything it takes with a Goalie glove. So check us out for more. Definitely subscribe. More content like this coming your way soon.